What up, Dokkanners? We are going to be doing our Global Dokkan Celebration Part 1 banner predictions. This is just asking for trouble because you're always going to be wrong. But we're going to go ahead and do this because we tend to do this every year. Knowing that the Global Dokkan Now special is likely going to show us the graphic, like the front summon graphic for the two banners, I do realize that this will probably age very poorly, but still, I want to get this video out there because it's fun to speculate. So going into this, there's a lot of question marks because in terms of the structure of last year's worldwide celebration banners, is that going to translate slot for slot exactly into this year's banner? Are there going to be some changes? Last year, there was no 2 Carnival LRs per anniversary part to deal with. So that kind of potentially changes the Carnival side because while there are supposed to be 7 LR slots, 2 of them are designated to essentially random LRs. So now that we have 1 extra Carnival LR to deal with, does that mean that one of these gets pushed off and we only have 1 random LR? Maybe. Considering that the next worldwide celebration units that are on the hot seat for potential EZAs, the Cooler, the Goku, the Metal Cooler, and all those, technically based on this blueprint, they would not be here. But would they be here because maybe they do get EZAs? I don't know. So there's a lot of question marks going into this. So I will probably be wrong on most of this, but still it's a fun thought experiment. So let's go ahead and jump in here. I basically mapped out each slot and I identified them as the following. So ignore this. This is just to mark this because I did this. I've been doing this for a few years now, but apparently I skipped 2024. I don't know why. Or maybe I put it on a separate notepad. Okay, so for the Dokkan Festival, we've got the headliner. So a lot of assumptions here. I am assuming Zamasu Rose will be the headliner Dokkan Festival. Some of you may disagree, which is totally fine. But regardless, this is the headliner. This is the banner unit. So that accounts for the first 2 slots right there. Then we've got Golden Week from the same year because last year's 2024 Golden Week was the Majin Buu Saga one. So you have one of the 2 here, which means the other one will be in part 2. So it could either be Hit or Blue Kaioken Goku. That one I think we know for sure. Dual Dokkan Festival from December's end of the previous year. So looking back at last year, that slot was designated to the Super Saiyan 3 and the Harudegarn. If we consider this year's situation, that would be the Daima characters, which would be a great way to bring them back. So I think that this definitely makes a lot of sense. We'll have Glorio, Daima, Super Saiyan Goku. Then the next slot is for the Worldwide Celebration LR from the previous year. So last year, the previous year for that was the We Saiyans Have No Limits. But for this year, last year would be Gogo Trunks or Broly. It can be interchangeable. It doesn't necessarily have to be part 1 that goes into part 1. It can switch things up because if you notice here, this is our part 1 Dokkan Festival, right? We had the Tech Broly and we had the Gogo Trunks, but we had the part 2 Dokkan Festival LR from that Cooler celebration on this banner. So it doesn't have to be part 1. It could be anything. So it could either be Gogo Trunks or it could be Broly. Anniversary from the previous year, not from that year, but the previous year. So last year, that was year 9. So the year 8 anniversary LR showed up. And as far as I'm concerned, I feel like this is kind of where we hit the guaranteeds. This is the last one, the worldwide from 2 years ago. So that would be the Cooler, the Super Saiyan Goku Vegeta, the Super Saiyan Duo. So that covers all of the characters that I think are going to be confirmed for this year. Then the last 3 slots get a little weird because if we look at this slot right here, there's no real rhyme or reason for having the superhero characters in here other than just having another Dual Dokkan Festival LR pair, which we could do. So there's one mystery. And then we've got an older unit that received an EZA. Coincidentally, this is a Saiyan Day unit. I don't know if that necessarily matters, but this unit received an EZA during the celebration. This guy did not receive a Super EZA during the celebration, but he was a recent Super EZA. So under those, I don't really know what to put. You could put Dual Dokkan Festival LR. You could put Dual Dokkan Festival TUR. This all just depends on what they decide to do. The reason why I just am going to leave it as Super Saiyan 3 Goku Harudegarn here is because I just don't know. So if you have a better idea, feel free to share it. I'm just going to leave it as such. Dokkan Festival, that will EZA. So that last year was Broly. So this year I'm just putting 17, 18 because... And then if we look at the older Super EZAs, I kind of changed it up here. So instead of a character that did have a Super EZA already, I'm putting characters that will Super EZA. So here's what it looks like before the flex spots get filled in. Okay, so we got the new characters and then we got all of the possible duos here. I just like crossfaded them. And then down here is, I guess, my finalized guesses. for the Dokkan Festival. Zamasu, Yajirobe, it doesn't matter. It could be anybody. Trunks. Honestly, Trunks, I think, has to make some sort of a presence here, either as a summonable unit or a super EZA, just because Trunks is involved in the Goku Vegeta Blue reversible exchange unit. He's on the card art. So I think that he's going to have some sort of a part to play in terms of their Link super attack. So they have to provide us access to some sort of Trunks. So honestly, Trunks as a banner unit would probably make a lot of sense. I don't want that to be the case because we've got a billion of those, but whatever. And then, yeah, I threw in Hit. I threw in a couple of like the bad guys over here. Then I mixed in a couple of the good guys just because, you know, I'm picking Zamasu as the Dokkan Festival. It doesn't necessarily mean all characters featured have to be bad guys. If it's all self-contained in one banner, then you would probably only need to summon on that one banner, right? When it comes to their banner construction strategies, it's always mixing and matching to create a sense of incomplete, right? You want to then summon on the other banner to complete the set. So honestly, like even this guy being on part 2, I would not be surprised. Just for the sake of wanting to complete the duo, you would need to summon on the other banner. So I put these guys all here. These are all the confirmed ones in my opinion. And then these last 3, I put Vegito Blue instead of Rose. And then I put Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I put Android 1718. These are probably wrong. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about my potential predictions here for the Dokkan Festival. Does it seem off? Does it seem terrible? Probably. You guys let me know. So now let's move on to the Carnival side. And like I said, Carnival side does get a little interesting because this year we are in uncharted waters because we are dealing with a dual Carnival LR setup from the 10th anniversary. And in the Carnival side, we do include the anniversary LRs from the same year. So with that said, there's going to actually be 2 LRs here where the Gamma 1, Gamma 2 would be. And so that would probably bump off one of these because they're not going to give us 8 LRs out of 10. They're not going to do that. It's going to, the ratio is still going to remain 7 LRs and then 3 TURs. So 10 total featured with 7 of them being LRs. They're not going to alter that ratio, in my opinion. I'm guessing. I don't think they would change that. So one of these has to go. Or maybe one of these has to go. I don't know. So let's go through my thought process here on the Carnival side. Starting with the headliner, since Rose Zamasu is what I think is going to be the Dokkan Festival by process of elimination, Goku Vegeta would be the headliner on the Carnival side. And then as far as the anniversary LRs, so we got the Gammas from, we got the Gammas from last year, right? So whatever we get as the part 1 set of Carnival LRs, the opposite would be in the part 2. So it would either be any 2 of these 4. I don't know if it necessarily has to be like, maybe it's Vegeta and Goku because they're both in part 1. They have to go together. I don't know if they would mix and match further and put like Vegeta and Goku Frieza together because this was the part 1 anniversary Carnival. This was the part 2 anniversary Carnival, but whatever. 2 out of those 4. Moving on to the next one, we got the worldwide unit from the previous year. So last year, in that case, it was the Future Saga. So Gohan or Trunks. So in this case, last year would be either Tech Broly or the Super Saiyan Gohan, either one or the other. And then the anniversary from 2 years ago fills the next slot. So that's Turtle School for 8th anniversary last year. But for us, it would be the 9th anniversary. So that would be either Gogeta or the Gammas. I would guess since Gammas were on part 1 of last year's Carnival, they'll probably be on part 2 of this year's Carnival. Just a random guess. Worldwide unit from 2 years ago, that slot belongs to the Metacooler. So that means this year, it would either be Gohan or Trunks from the Future Saga, which makes sense considering this celebration is Future Saga oriented. Although one of these guys would end up in part 2. You know, okay, I keep saying that I want Daima. Even if we get Daima, there's still going to be a lot of characters that need to fill up these roster slots. And Daima doesn't have enough of a presence in the game yet. We are going to have characters from other arcs and other celebrations anyway. So as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't matter. It could just be a bunch of random stuff on the potential part 2 Daima banners. But yeah, Gohan, Trunks. And then that's pretty much where we finish the confirmed stuff because all of this is pretty prominent. They're all pretty prominent LRs. I imagine they would all be on the banner. And then this is where it gets interesting. So the extra LR situation, like I said, because we have multiple carnivals for each anniversary, that means one of these has to go probably. So instead of having 2 random LRs like we did last year with Turles and Broly trio, I'm thinking just the one, and I'm thinking Z Trunks. And mainly Z Trunks is because he could potentially get an LR Super EZA. I was also thinking Int Rose, but he wouldn't get a Super EZA, not before this guy. So I put Z Trunks. If you have any other guesses, feel free, but only 1 LR, not 2. Because the extra TURs, we have to have 3 garbage LRs. And you know what? I just realized I forgot to put the last one. I put it in my graphic, but I forgot to put it here. So these are my 3 garbage TURs, just random TURs, but all kind of cater to the theme. So I put Future Saga characters, Zamasu, Goku Blue, and Super Trunks. Why? I don't know. Is there any actual pattern? You guys can let me know. I am sort of rushed in making this video, so maybe you guys know something I don't, because I tend to not know a lot of things. So there you go. Those are my bench warmers. Those are my fillers. So to reiterate, here is what I think is probably a guarantee. Whatever the headliner is, either it's Zamasu Rose or it's Goku Vegeta. Then we've got all the Carnival LRs from yesteryears, right? So all of these guys, it could be one or the other. Again, these 2 right here could be interchangeable. Maybe it's not necessarily. Oh my God, this is really cool. I just realized how cool this looks. Look at Vegeta and Frieza. This is like some cross fusion stuff. Like it could be Frieza and it could be Vegeta. I don't know. And then we got Broly and Kamehameha, yada, yada, yada. These 4, we don't know. 3 garbage TURs, 1 random LR. For all we know, maybe this is wrong. Maybe we remove one of those. But these are my final predictions. I think we'll get the Part 1 10th Anniversary Carnival LRs together. I think we'll get Broly. I think we'll get the Gammas. We'll get both Trunks, Z and Super. And then we just have 3 random TURs. It doesn't matter who they are. You don't want to pull them anyway, right? Like, let's face it. It doesn't matter who they are. There will never be a situation on a Carnival banner where you are like, yes, I'm so glad I pulled one of the 3 bench warmer TURs. That's not the case. So it really just doesn't matter who you put there, but that's just who I put. So there you go. Those are my final predictions on the Part 1 banners. Like I said, these Part 1 banner graphics should be revealed later on when we go to the Dokkan Now special. So when that happens, maybe it'll, you know, automatically invalidate like half of my picks, but we'll see. But I feel like in theory, at least the first 7 slots for the Dokkan Festival and the first 6 or 7 slots in the Carnival should be guaranteed. But that's just one man's opinion. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like down below. Let in the comments your thoughts, your guesses, your picks for what could be coming up as the featured characters on these banners. Do you think that the Rose Zamasu will get the treatment that it deserves and we will get an extreme Dokkan Festival? Or do you think once again they will shaft the extreme class and give the Dokkan Festival slot to the Goku Vegeta? What are some sleeper picks that you think might end up being shown on the featured banners? Let me know. Any potential super easy A's or any other picks that I didn't mention, feel free to share in the comments down below. Also, be sure to subscribe for more Dokkan content in the future and click the notification bell so that you'll let YouTube know you want to see more of my stuff. Do it! Like, I just keep thinking, what if Cooler, Goku, and those guys get easy A's? Like, if that happens, they have to be on the banner. So, yeah, I'm gonna get ratioed so bad. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned and Arjun to Dokkan responsibly.